For our final speaker of the night, I'd like to introduce Dr. Coan. Dr. Coan is both president and CEO of Sea Research Foundation. Sea Research Foundation operates both Mystic Aquarium and the Institute for Exploration and Immersion Learning. We feel he has experience both as an educator, in research, in business, and across a wide multitudes of fields that sort of encompass a lot of what we hope to achieve here about bridging the different schools that we have. He's also, and without further ado, I'd like to give him one.
Thank you, sir. All right, well, good evening, everybody. I'm the youngest of 5 boys, so I know what it's like to be last. And I know what it's like to be cut off all the time, too. So I'm mindful we're coming along at 9 o'clock. And I need to grab this so that I can show you what I want to talk about. Tonight, we've heard so many good things. And a lot of what we've heard is really about mental models. How do we think about the world? How do we shape our own viewpoint? And how do we think about making a difference in the world? Stories matter. Your story has power. Stigma matters. And we need to overcome stigma by confronting it. These are powerful thoughts, powerful ideas. I want to talk a little bit about my role at Mystic Aquarium and how I think about making a difference in the world. And I want to begin by mentioning my predecessor at Mystic Aquarium, Jerry Burrow. Graduated from the Yale Medical School, class of '58. He had a very esteemed career in medicine and as a professor here at Yale and as a dean at several other schools, and then went on to become the president of Mystic Aquarium. He's written a book, A History of Yale's School of Medicine. He passed away a couple of years ago, but I'm going to come back to Jerry in a few minutes. He was a wonderful mentor for me and did a lot to shape my view of the world. At Mystic Aquarium, we have thousands of animals that we care for, and that is an awesome responsibility. It can be treated lightly, I suppose, fish in a tank, marine mammals, or it can be treated with passion, dignity, and a concern for why we have those animals, why we care for those animals. Our mission at Mystic is research, conservation, and education. For me, having a background in social science, I have come to spent a lot of time thinking about how in the world did a social scientist come to run an aquarium. And the way that I do that is to really focus my mission, my mental model, and I want to talk a little bit about that as we go through this tonight. The Millennium Project has identified 15 key global issues. They range, as you can see, from peace and conflict, health issues, democratization, energy, all of these. And while these are all important issues, they can be overwhelming to most of us, and particularly if you're looking to make a difference in the world. So I've come to understand the importance of 3 W's: water, women, and welfare. 70% of our Earth's surface is water. More than 60% of our bodies is made up of water. Our brains are kept working by water. Our cells reproduce as a result of water. Our bodies are nourished by water. Water regulates our body temperature, and it keeps the Earth from burning up. 1/5 of the world's population depends on water for food. We take water for granted. We pollute it, we put our storage in it, we fish with abandon, we overbuild our coastlines, and we minimize the threat to our coastlines of flooding. Access to clean water is increasingly the cause of conflict in our own nation and in the world. Famine and food shortage, lack of access to energy, these are all key issues. But they are significantly less important in terms of humanity than water shortage. Today, 20 million people in South Sudan, Somalia, Nigeria, Yemen, and some other countries in Africa are endangered because their access to water is diminishing at a rapid rate. In the United States, we see the devastating impact of water issues in Flint, Michigan, and other communities. In fact, 1.2 billion people around the world lack access to clean water. The reality is this causes intense poverty, sometimes war, starvation, malnourishment, serious disease, impaired economic development, child mortality, you name it, it causes it. When we think about women and women's issues, we tend to jump towards particular aspects of the challenge, such as equal pay, glass ceilings, reproductive issues. The overarching challenge, however, in my opinion, is empowering women globally. Women continue to be subjugated throughout the world. The condition of women globally is appalling. 60% of the world's chronic hungry are women, and the majority of illiterate people in the world are women, largely because many women in many countries do not have access to primary education. Yet women, their health, education, and welfare hold the key to tackling some of the world's most vexing issues. This is not a slogan for a bumper sticker, it is a reality. Every instance of empowering women brings us closer to closing a gaping hole that has been sloganized and somewhat trivialized as the gender gap. In fact, empowering women is key to ending violence, which is overwhelmingly perpetrated against women. It's also key to increasing child survival rates, increasing food production, and reducing hunger, and increasing the sustainability of our world, just to name a few. The third W concerns one of the most maligned terms in our culture, welfare. The very concept of the well-being of the general public has been reduced to the notion of handouts, or in the United States, polarization around social programs. Yet one of the pillars of the Constitution of the United States, in the preamble of that document, is that in attempting to form a, quote, more perfect nation, unquote, we seek to, quote, promote the general welfare. We, you and I, need to decide what promoting the general welfare means. In the United States, 20% of our children live in abject poverty. More than 25% of African Americans and 22% of Hispanics live in poverty. Those rates are rising, even as the overall poverty rate in the United States remains relatively constant at about 13 to 14%. But in the world, 767 million people live in extreme poverty. And of those, some 328 million are children. And we know that wealth is increasingly concentrated in fewer and fewer people, fewer and fewer nations. As with water and perhaps even women, I started tonight with a tribute to Dr. Jerry Burrow, my predecessor as president of Mystic Aquarium. Dr. Burrow understood the complexity of the world and its myriad issues. He focused much of his own energy on promoting the use of iodine in salt as a way of solving some of the key issues, health issues in developing countries. He flew all around the world to the most remote places promoting the use of iodine in salt. I asked him why he did this and how he saw all of his many interests coming together. He noted that iodine deficiency is directly related to clean water, women's health, and welfare. The well-being of people in developing nations depended in large part, in his opinion, on solving the iodine deficiency problem. So I learned about the importance of the 3 W's from Jerry, and I say W. He made a difference by refusing to become indifferent, by being in dialogue, and by seeing the intrinsic link between his acts and the greater good. And in my lifetime, 55 years, I've seen lots of things improve. In my neighborhood where I grew up, tolerance for diversity is now prevalent, not an exception. We've seen issues around race improve. They're still very serious. We've seen women's rights established. The ozone layer is healing. And many, many other things that have happened. And we've heard about lots of accomplishments tonight that inspire us. The point is, there's lots of good happening. And progress does come if we work at it. And by the way, in my lifetime, I've seen 10 presidents come and go. So tonight, stories matter. You can make a difference. Your stories have power. You can make a difference. Thank you.
On that note, I'd like to thank Dr. Coan and all our speakers tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. So, none of this could have happened without the entire team that I had with me to make this event happen. This was a huge logistical effort, and I want to especially thank everyone here who worked on it. So please give them a round of applause. I also want to thank our sponsorships to help make this event happen. The Graduate and Professional Student Senate, Kim Graf Cruz's office, who's sitting right here, Fiji Water, Wine Thief, and Chipotle. And, and I hope that we then enjoy these efforts as we go upstairs and create these collaborations that we've talked about, to go meet the speakers, talk amongst each other, and to really follow up and be inspired through these. I think all the speakers tonight have touched on things that we all care deeply about, and we can work together as we tackle our own objectives and our own careers and our desires. So let's all go upstairs. There's music by DJ MJ of the School of Music on a toy organ. And let's go up and meet everybody and talk. Thank you very much.